So the big question is this: how do most agents who struggle to get the information that most successful agents hoard to themselves grow and prosper without this information? That's the big question, and this video cast is the answer. Welcome to Real Estate Rockstars. I'm your host, Pat Hiban. And now for the review of the day. All right, guys, got a cool comment here on our certified buyer agent course at Rebus University. It says, I've only been in real estate since April, and I have had 4 closings that are direct correlation to what I learned in this course. I am sure there are big things to come in 2019. That's awesome. That is just awesome. Congratulations, Jonathan West. Keep the comments coming, guys. I love them. And remember, I eat feedback for breakfast. So give me a 1-star review if you want, or a 5-star review if you want. I don't care. And the more reviews we get, the better guests we get. So please, subscribe first, and then leave us a review or wherever you're listening. All right, Rockstar Nation, I got a first-time guest today, someone I've been wanting to get on the show for a long time. I got the premier real estate coach, Debbie De Grote, on, and man, she knows a thing or two, and we're going to talk about a thing or two. I think where we're going to take this for you guys is we're going to talk about what top agents that she's currently coaching right now, what the best of the best are doing to prepare for a shifting market. We're going to get into what they're doing about the big box transitions, meaning the Zillows and the realtors changing things and what they're doing about that in anticipation of a shifting market, how they're dealing with flat rate commissions, what they're doing with their pipelines, because now the follow-up process, and you thought it was long already, well, it's getting ready to get longer, and they're knowing that. What they're doing with the mourning process that sellers are going to have with, why did my house sell this weekend? Last 4 of my neighbors sold in a week, and I've been on the market 17 days. This is a disaster. How to handle that. We're going to deal with the ups and downs of a team. Should you be building out your team, or is this a time to start pulling back on your team? We're going to cover all that and more, and I'm excited. This is going to be a show for you to hold on to your hats and take a lot of notes. Debbie, welcome to Real Estate Rockstars.
Well, thank you so much, Pat, for having me on. This is a pleasure. So, hey, I'm all yours. You fire away and we'll go any direction you choose to go.
Well, let's start out by finding a little bit about you. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself, or tell the Rockstar audience a little bit about yourself so they can get to know you better?
Well, so I guess you'd say we're a real estate family. You know, I started out selling real estate as a senior in high school, fell in love with it, thought I would do it around college, loved it so much that I got to admit, college took a back seat, because by the time I was 24, I was selling 156 homes a year, my personal production. And you know, Pat, that was back in the day before teams even existed. So I would say I was working too much, too hard. I had a great admin assistant, great broker, you know, to mentor and advise me. But no leads to purchase or referral networks. So I had to do it all from scratch. And that's why we're very passionate here at Excellium about helping people who do want to have productive teams, how to put those together if they choose, so that they don't have to work as hard as I did back in the day. Then I was recruited away by the Mike Ferry organization to come in and run the operation in Orange County, I was the vice president of the coaching, to create programs, hire coaches, coach top teams. And I did that for 13 years and I loved it. What I wanted to change about it, though, which is really why I opened my own company about 6 years ago, is I believed in the more custom dynamic of coaching. And you and I chatted a bit about this the other day. We coach to the DISC. So we have everyone take their DISC assessment. We look at their personality, their market, their strengths, where their business is currently coming from. And my veteran coaches and I develop a custom blueprint. And because it is custom, it works well. Our clients stay, and we've got some rock stars like, Ernie Carswell, who's Katy Perry and Fergie's realtor, sold the Brady Bunch house recently. Sean Stanfield here in Huntington Beach, I think his team will do about $750 million in volume this year. So we have the honor and pleasure of coaching some of the best across the country.
That's beautiful. That's awesome. Well, I love how you say you're a lot different than Mike Ferry in that you got tired of being singular focused. And, it works for some people, but with a lot of people, they feel like they become robots. And so I think that I agree with you. I think there's many, many ways to learn in the business, and there are many, many different personalities of agents. I think as soon as you figure out whether an agent is going to make it or not in this business, you're completely wrong, because you just never know who's going to make it in this business till they make it.
Sizes, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. So let's get into the nitty gritty. I appreciate you sharing that. That's exciting. So, all right. So let's talk about, first of all, shifting market, pivoting, right?
Right.
What are you telling your agents to do? You telling them to pivot? Are you telling them to stick with Realtor and Zillow with their changes? What advice are you giving today? What are you seeing your top agents doing?
Well, the beauty of having sold real estate through many market cycles, and my husband, by the way, still full-time after 35 years, we've seen a lot of cycles. And honestly, the cycle we're coming out of, that wasn't like the best, when there's no inventory to sell your buyers, when sellers can just rule the roost because they can get any price they want, and therefore they don't see all the value that a great agent can bring. Hey, I'll go with a flat rate company, it'll sell in a day. So that wasn't a perfect market. I really look forward to actually what we're heading into, which is where it will take a bit longer to sell. So when the agent goes in with a well-planned, well-prepared presentation, when they can really shine as that wise advisor, showcasing their experience, expertise, and results, sellers will pay. They will pay a reasonable rate of commission. They will eventually listen to that agent, although they may not want to listen right away. So we're just encouraging agents to upgrade their presentation, expand their reach into their community, because they need to build their pipeline, because as you mentioned, leads take longer to mature today than they have in the past. And, I think, Pat, part of that's because they can go online and start all their information gathering early, and they do. And so it may take 4 months, 6 months, 18 months. So we've got to have a lot of people in that pipeline. And then really looking at changing how they market themselves, because today's consumer is so much savvier than they used to be. And we've got to enter the conversation in their mind. What do they want from the agent? They don't want to be told it's time to change their clocks by a postcard in the mail. I mean, my gosh, our smartphone does that for us. They don't want a pumpkin on their door.
Right, your clock.
Right.
Yeah, your phones change automatically. Yeah. But what about the big box? What about the big boxes? Did all of your coaching clients quit Zillow?
No, some have though.
Some have. And what are they doing instead? What do you recommend they do instead? How do we pivot if we decide to quit?
Well, what they're doing, many of them are, and by the way, we don't tell them to quit or not quit, because again, I think that's all a very personal decision.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
What I do see though, is that many, especially the big teams that were spending big bucks, sometimes up to $20,000 a month to buy the Zillow leads or whatever real estate portal, where the average conversion can be as low as 1% to 3%, right? Lots of time, lots of energy, lots of money, and they're taking that money and they're putting it in their local community. They're applying.
So that's what we want to talk about. So listen to this, guys. They're taking up to $250,000 a year, 20 grand a month, putting it in their local community where they have a more control. And again, what they're doing also is they're taking buyer lead money and they're putting it into listing lead money, right? I mean, that's what they're trying to do essentially, is get listings, right? So it's kind of like a farm explosion.
It actually is. You know, Southern California, where I'm located, has always been big on geographic farming. And as I fly around North America, I find a lot of agents don't farm, but they're looking at it now. They're saying, wait a minute, it makes sense. It becomes like a geographic sphere of influence. But also I see a lot of the top agents investing more into their own personal database of past clients and sphere. And really trying to stay much more top of mind in a relevant way. Information on moving up, downsizing, buying investment properties, taking advantage of market opportunities. Again, trying to shine as that wise advisor.
What's up, brokers, team leaders, office managers, and rainmakers of teams? I got a question for you today. What are the two most frustrating things about running a real estate team? The two things that cause you more headaches than anything else. Think about it. The brokers I've talked to have all given me the same answer: recruiting and retention. If you're in the same boat, if nothing you've tried seems to work, I've got some good news. Your problem finding, recruiting, and retaining high-quality agents are about to be over. I'm launching my new Retoot course, a course that provides an in-depth, first-ever look at the recruiting and retention secrets of the industry's top recruiters. To kick off Retoot's launch, I'm offering the course along with two other high-value items at a super low price to podcast listeners. Since I'm throwing in two free items with my Retoot Secrets course, I'm going to simply call it my 123 discount package. Okay, so let me talk to you about the 123 discount package. In addition to Retoot, you're going to get a subscription for each of your teammates or anybody in your office to my Big Profit weekly jackpot emails, which are basically agents from around the world giving advice on how to increase your profit on a daily basis in this business. If your agents put these effective, easy to implement tips to use, their sales and most importantly, their profits will improve. Plus, I'll provide you with a year's worth of monthly sales meetings, content to have at your sales meeting so you don't have to struggle figuring out what to say to your agents or your team. I'm calling it my Lunch and Learn sales training series. That's an entire year's worth of sales meetings that you won't have to plan and that your agents are guaranteed to get massive value from. So to recap, purchasing the 123 discount package gets you 1, my brand new Retoot course; 2, my Big Profit Agents weekly jackpot emails for everybody in your office; and 3, a year's worth of Lunch and Learn training sessions. If you want this limited time package, act fast and go to hibandigital.com/123. Real easy, hibandigital.com/123. I love it, guys. You heard it. You heard it. Taking the money and putting it into a listing-based sphere, a listing-based geo farm, whatever. That's what the top agents are doing. Let's talk a little bit about flat rate commissions. You guys are competing with flat rate commissions. What are you doing about this?
You know, they really gravitate to the low end. Like if you take like the Purple Bricks, actually one of my great coaches knows someone in that company, and they reached out to him and said, you know, would Excellium consider training Purple Bricks? I didn't personally have the conversation, my coach did. And I said, heck no, no, I'm not going to do that because that is not my preferred real estate model, of course. But one of the things that was interesting is that person told my coach, we don't really seek to go to the higher end because that clientele would potentially be more discerning, more selective. So I think for all of the agents out there have ever thought, well, should I increase my sales price? It doesn't mean it has to be ultra luxury. A shifting market is a great time to go up to that next price point. You won't see as much of that flat rate. You also will see listings begin to expire. And Pat, you've probably heard the old saying, better off to be the firstborn, the second wife, and the second or third agent in on a higher end listing. So they can go in, take this higher end listing, turn it around, get it sold, become the hero in the community. So I don't have.
I think that's interesting. What you said though is like rich people aren't looking necessarily to save money, even though you think, hell, if you took a $30,000 commission and you can do a purple bricks for $3,600 flat, right, you'd be like, damn, I can save $27,000. If that was the truth, then rich people would not sit in first class. They'd sit in the back. They wouldn't stay at the Ritz. They'd stay at the Holiday Inn. But that doesn't happen, right? Because rich people like to spend money. So that benefits the upper end. That benefits the luxury. But what about your clients that, are selling bread and butter stuff for 200 grand? What advice are you giving them to deal with this influx of flat rate companies coming in?
Yeah. And people say, well, they'll go away, in every shifting market cycle, those flat rate companies go away. But this is different now because they've got more money, they've got more muscle, they've got more, online.
What do you mean they got more money? Because yes, I mean, they said that
there's some big backers.
I got into business in 1987 and I've seen them come and go. And I've had mentors and office managers always tell me, oh, don't worry about save six. Don't worry about help you sell. They come and go. And you know what? They were always right. They came and they went. Right. But now you're saying that Wall Street's involved, right? And they got people funding these massive companies. And so in your opinion, they're not going to go away.
Not as easily, but they don't seem to be a big threat. Like my husband, it works in the bread and butter market. And in his geographic farm, this entire year, there was one purple bricks list, that one listing he lost to purple bricks, and it was ridiculously overpriced on a very busy corner, worst location in the neighborhood. And these people had taken their guest closet right next to their couch, and it was a 1,000 square foot home, and put a toilet in there. So you could say, excuse me, I need to just go to the bathroom right there next to the couch. So they were really kind of psychotic in every way. And they went to Purple Bricks. It sat there for 6 months, didn't sell. They listed with another cut rate, didn't sell. And, my husband said, hey, you're going to lose a couple, and those potentially are not the kind of client that would see value in an agent. But I think the heads up is what we're talking to our agents about is, don't worry about it, but be prepared to go in and shine. Even if it's your past client, assume you're going to need to go in and win that listing and showcase your expertise, show off your marketing, and really quantify your value. And if you can do that well, and Pat, I don't know if this stat is accurate. I read it in a magazine somewhere on an airplane. It said that 70% of consumers for any product, if they see perceived value, they will pay more. 30% want cheap. Well, you might lose one once in a while to the one that wants cheap. So you just get more. You get more in your funnel. But I will say our clients have not been challenged by this hardly at all. It's just a random occurrence. So they're not too worried about it.
So you think the market will slow, but that the whole influx of flat rates isn't going to take over to the point where the agents out there are really going to have to worry about this. And I like that philosophy, right? You just keep moving forward, and there's always going to be a high end. There's always going to be a low end. You
right.
Make a decision where you are, and you move forward. And there's plenty of business. Now you mentioned the third thing to discuss with the shifting market is the pipelines, which people are going to hate hearing this, right? The follow-up pipelines, which already seem egregiously long, are going to get longer. Tell me about that.
Well, I just noticed that, back when I was actively selling, it would seem like you'd get that call, come list my house, I'm ready to go. And now you see them online, they respond to an ad, they're pull a Facebook reports you have. So they're out there searching and they're just getting their plan. So you have to nurture that. And often agents will hit them once or twice, maybe 3 times, and get bored and move on. In our inner circle, one of the things we do for our clients is we actually encourage them, use your personal touch of the phone call, the door knocks, etc., but also combine that with tools and technologies. We provide them a texting platform, a slide voicemail, weekly e-blast to send. So get your web of connections in place, and a lot of it can be automated. And then inserting those personal touches, depending on the quality of the lead and how soon they might be likely to mature. So, Pat, if you attended one of my events, for an example, now you're in my web, you'll get invited to my webinars, you'll get my weekly e-blasts, which have content and value. You'll get things from me, via text and slide voicemail. You won't get away unless you buy something or opt out or die, right?
And where's that coming from? Is that artificial intelligence, Debbie? Is that what you're saying?
No, not really. I guess I'm not that fancy.
I mean, you're not picking up the phone at 6 a.m. and slide dialing Pat and say, "Hey, Pat, I see you." So who's doing that?
No. Each client, sets up their own game plan. We encourage them to really offer value. So for an example, many of our clients have a text going out in January saying, hey, I know there's a lot going on in the market. I've got a complimentary annual real estate planning tool. If you'd like a copy of it, free, text me back. I'll get it out in the mail to you.
And that's a blanket text. Like everybody's getting that
but
text.
They don't know that because in our platform, it plugs in the client's name. So
you know what tool they would use for that?
Well, we built our own. So it's called SMS Conversations that we give to our coaching clients, but there are group texting platforms out
there's a bunch of them out there and several have been shut down. You got to be real careful with that.
Yeah, they have to be, the spamming laws apply. You have to be mindful. They have to be clean opt-ins. So they have to be your community. You can't just go buy a list of phone numbers.
Yeah, so opt-in, so let's say I decide to send that for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
How do I get them to opt in? How do I get them to opt in without sending them an email asking them to opt in?
Well, so a lot of people,
or text asking them to opt in.
Right. Well, you could do it if they download a Facebook report. So for example, if someone sees a Facebook report from me, a free report about how to sell luxury homes, and they download that report and they opt in, if they do a community event and they properly at that event ask permission to opt people in, there's a lot of ways to do it. And yet we always tell them, check the laws in their own state.
Got it.
Every state is very different. Canada, you have to opt them in, I think, 3 different times. Florida, very tough in Florida.
Wait a minute. Canada, you got to opt them in 3 times?
That's what one of my clients told me.
Forget about that. I would just go out and door knock. It wouldn't be worth it.
It wouldn't be
worth it. 3 times. I mean, the only people in there are going to be your mother.
I think the bigger point than the technology would be, have a marketing game plan of what are the multiple ways I'm going to connect with these people, and stick with your plan. Because what I mostly hear from agents is, I don't have them in a CRM. I don't call them. I haven't mailed anything, and direct mail is alive and well. I mean, when there are people who know who you are and they get except for Christmas. They get 5 things in their mailbox. They see you, it's something of value. So they have to have their marketing plan that fits them and fits their group, and then be consistent and run it like a machine.
I want you to think about the word toolbox. What is a toolbox? A toolbox is a box full of tools that you use to build something great. At Real Estate Rockstars, we've created our own free toolbox. So everybody that comes on the show as a guest brings a tool with them, and we plow them all into this toolbox, and we give it away for our viewing audience to basically use as they wish. Everything we put in there is an actionable item that can be downloaded, can be printed, can be used immediately. And we got things like scripts and dialogues, checklists for teams, checklists to keep agents accountable, referral forms that are filled out at settlement to get referrals by your buyers and sellers. Everything you can think of that you could use on a regular basis about real estate is included in this toolbox, and it's helping agents worldwide sell more houses and make their jobs a lot easier and processes much more efficient. And the thing is, it's absolutely free. All you got to do is go to hibandigital.com/toolbox or text the word toolbox to 444-999. That's toolbox 444-999. Do it now. Hey, real estate agents and rock stars. If you're getting value out of the content in this episode, make sure you like the video and subscribe to this channel. Also, click the little bell icon to be notified about upcoming episodes. And I would also love it if you left a comment and shared the most impactful tips and tactics you've learned from the knowledge shared in this episode, or even maybe make a suggestion requesting a topic of what you'd like to learn in future episodes. I welcome any feedback below. Now, back to the episode. Wow. Okay. So I want to move on to this morning process, because you had stated before, you said, get ready for the morning process of a seller, right? I guess that really is whose house or whose agent, let's blame it on the agent,
Of course.
is not as good as the last 3 agents that sold houses in the neighborhood because the house is not sold yet. Talk to me about the morning process, and what do you recommend agents do?
Well, it's kind of like the stages of grieving, right? There's denial, then there's anger, and there's acceptance. And you and I have seen in previous markets where it will often take sellers about 6 months or more to get it, that it isn't what it was. And I've personally made the mistake of going in kind of as that angel of death and being like, here's where it is, and here's what it's got to be. And if we don't do this, and they go, yeah, we'll call you tomorrow. They kick you to the curb. They list with someone else at a higher price who works the listing and then eventually sells it.
I know, and it's such a moral dilemma almost for agents.
Yes.
You know, agents are like, well, I know that I'm lying to them, but I also know that they've got to go through these 3 phases: denial, anger, and acceptance. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lie to them, and I'm going to get the big fat commission.
Yeah.
And,
I wouldn't advise that only because then of course the agent may take on a listing that's not saleable or one they don't feel good about. I mean,
yeah, so what do you do about it then? How are you honest and keep the listing when the guy or gal that comes in after you is confident about a much higher price? Confident, like very, very confident, and has a proven track record.
Well, so a couple of things. One is these are much more savvy people. Back in the day, many, many years ago, they couldn't go online. They couldn't check values. They've already done that before the agent arrives. They've gone on Zillow. They've gone on Realtor.com, Trulia. They have a pretty good understanding of where the market is. And when the agents take the data and they put the data in front of the seller, and I tell them just the facts, Just go through the facts with the seller. Seller can draw their own conclusions. And quite frankly, what agents are struggling with right now is they can't, in all good conscience, come to you and say, I know this is what your house will sell for. Because right now it's kind of crazy. They think they know, and then it doesn't sell, or they think it's too high, and then it still gets multiple bids. So that agent can't possibly know for sure. So put the data in front of them, ask them about their time frame. We teach our clients to offer 3 pricing strategies. We can price to the data if you're hoping to sell more quickly. We can price below the data to attract multiple bids, or we can go retail, the highest we feel the market will bear, and test the market. Mr. Seller, which one do you prefer to do? So there's no lying. There's no giving a price, because who knows right now, but just informing, engaging, and having an intelligent conversation with the seller.
3 prices. I like it. 3 prices.
It works well. Our clients love it. Clients love it. Their clients love it. And quite frankly, we have very little power to sway them if they have their mind made up initially. But then we encourage our agents. The listing is now taken. It's in my hand. I'm sitting at the table with the seller. Now that we're business partners, let's talk a little bit about what you can now expect. And we tell them to spend another 15 to 20 minutes setting expectations with the seller. Don't expect 5 offers tomorrow. We're not in that kind of market. Don't expect necessarily multiple bids, because see, now that they've made the choice to hire me, they're a little more likely to listen. And now we can have that conversation, and then great communication, which sometimes agents let fall by the wayside if it takes a bit to sell, but really talking to that seller every week and partnering with them in this, and trying to help them make those tough decisions.
Yeah. At the end of the day, right. It's always communication. It's always, especially if that part of the mourning process is anger.
Right.
You don't want to ever leave an angry person with not being communicating. I'm lacking the proper terms here, but with not talking to them. So right. Knowing that is part of the process, now more than ever, you need to be on the phone or on a FaceTime call, Zoom call, whatever, with your seller, even if you have nothing to say.
Yeah, we actually just put together a little shifting market resource package for our clients. And one of the things in there, I gave them a list of themes for seller calls. Because if I have your house listed, I'm not going to call you every week and ask you to reduce it. I'm going to have to bring different topics to the table.
Right. I love that. Yeah.
Right. So for example, I might talk about, hey, Pat, let's talk about the marketing I've done this week. The next week it might be, let's talk about, the online, I call them online previews, right? How many people have been viewing the home online and how many versus the showings? We might talk about accessibility. Maybe my seller's not being super cooperative with getting people in the home, and I have to have a little chat with them about that. Maybe we need to do some extra staging. So kind of looking at that menu and saying, what would be good to talk to that seller?
What's good to talk about? A great thing to talk about is an analysis of the builders, because builders already know. So if you could say, listen, this week, I want to talk to you about what the builders are doing. When we went on the market, Ryland Homes was selling this model for $479, and now they're still selling it for $479, but they're throwing in a finished basement, which is worth about $25,000. So that would be the same as you dropping your price $25,000 to $450, just to put some perspective. And this builder over here is doing this, and suddenly this builder over here is having this holiday special, and they've dropped their prices X amount. And then it kind of, builders tend to be much more aggressive than resale houses, right? And so if you could follow the builders as a listing agent and relay that to your seller, I think it kind of shocks their mind a little bit. It's a great conversation.
It is, and I've often used that, and our clients do as well, because we say, these are builders that sell thousands of homes a year potentially, and they know. And if they're doing this, they're doing it because it works.
Because they
And
know they have
I
a chief economist on staff making 250 a year, and this is what
exactly
he studied your zip code, and he told them, man, you better start dropping the price because the train's coming.
right, right,
No, I
exactly.
love that. Okay, so let's talk about teams. And one of the things you mentioned was like now is a time to step back and be like, okay, if it does start drastically shifting, right? Is this a time to expand and hire more people on my team and push forward, or is it a time to contract a little bit and watch? What do you think?
It really depends, again, going back to that custom approach, right? That even for each of our viewers, if they would like, I have something called the team building questionnaire. They can reach out to you, Pat, or they can email me, Debbie@excellium.com, and I'll be happy to share it with them. And it's a pretty lengthy questionnaire to sit down and really self-discover. Why do I want a team, or why do I want to keep my team? What's my vision for the team? Because if your team is not either drastically improving the quality of your life or making a nice profit for you, or it could be some even have the strategy to dominate a market, right? I want to get my brand out in this market, but there needs to be a strategy, not just I want to put a lot of people under my name and then I want to babysit them. So I am actually seeing some teams going to the model of, well, I just want 2 fabulous admin and maybe 1 great buyer agent to delegate my lower level stuff. And I want to lock and load and make a lot of money. But then you do have those mega teams, but they usually have a completely different strategy. And it's usually one of more of market domination. So we have some great team coaches, and that's one of the places they start, is they go through that questionnaire and they really help that person self-discover. I think everyone would love a team because they think, well, I can lay on the beach and my team is back at home making lots of money for me. I wish it always worked out that way, right? Doesn't always work out that way.
Yeah. Everyone wants to be leveraged, but not all are exceptional at it. So I think that what I would think of in this, if we're looking at exact meat and potatoes of things to do or don't do in team building, is number one, if you're going to start leveraging more and you're going to start adding people, start thinking about independent contractors versus employees. Start thinking about virtual people that you can hire and fire at will and very easily change. Think about back-end services like client care coordinators for $300 a transaction, or any sort of company that lets you do things per transaction. Those are all going to give you maximum flexibility. Think about some of these rather than signing a 10-year lease, think about some of these month-to-month places that you can rent, or all these things. I think you need to think about when you're heading into a changing market and you're considering building a team. And then it goes back to your thought too about should you just stay with two assistants that spit nails and 1 agent? And absolutely, that's an alternative. And if you start getting busier and busier, just refer out anything. That's a hedge strategy too, especially if you can get a fat referral fee like 35 or 40%.
Sure.
Sometimes your profit's going to be higher just referring it to a hungry agent in the office that'll pay you a fat referral fee than it will be to take on a bunch of additional expenses and
Yeah,
have a bunch of
expensive
buyer agents.
and handle a bunch of buyer agents, right? And I do see some agents have great luck with that, referring it out. Some don't. The ones that have great luck, they usually have carefully selected those people in the office and gotten them together and said, here's my expectation. And they've picked people that are right for a particular area or a particular price point, right? Because they know they're good at high end, or they know they're good at the first time buyer. So you don't just throw them out there to every newbie. They probably won't get converted. But if you pick your posse in a way that isn't really your team, but it's your unofficial team. And you dish them out. And if they don't convert them, then you don't give them to them, right? Give them to somebody else.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Spend some time on it. And I think it can work great, especially if you have somebody that, that you've built a relationship with or you've done several co-ops with, and you know they're on the ball. And you're like, I enjoy co-oping with Mary. You know, and if you enjoy co-oping with them because they're so organized and they got it together, then that might be a good person to send your referral business to.
Sure.
Yeah, I love it. Okay. Well, Debbie, as you know, everybody that comes on the show brings a free gift. And what I'm going to do with that free gift is I'm going to put this on hibandigital.com/Debbie De Grote, and it's DEGROTE. That's DEGROTE. hibandigital.com/Debbie De Grote. Debbie, what is your free gift today?
Oh, we have a good one. This is special. So if they go to my website, excellium.com, I'm known as the queen of scripts. I love to write scripts. I've had a lot of training in that and a lot of practice. And we have a script book there for sale that is $99. It's about 80 pages. And it also has a matching audio track that goes with each script. So you can actually listen in your car as you drive. And they would have to buy it or get it for free if they were coaching with us. And so that's our gift today. And Pat, they should thank you for arranging that, because that is a true $99 actual product that we're giving to your listeners today.
Wow, that's generous. That's one of my best gifts of all 150 that are in there. So, and what I'm talking about, guys, is of course, if you haven't gotten the Agent Success Toolbox, go to hibandigital.com/toolbox. You'll get Debbie's free gift plus about 150 other ones of all the other guests that have come on. But if you want direct access, please go to hibandigital.com/Debbie De Grote. It will be there. All of Debbie's links will be there. If you want to reach out to her, you want to get more information on her coaching, on her everything that she has to offer, her products, man, she's got a ton of stuff, and she deals with the best of the best and has been in this business pretty much all her adult life. So she knows what she's talking about. And I would love to see some of the Rockstar Nation get involved with her. So Debbie, thanks so much. Oh, and by the way, all of Debbie's social media links and all that good stuff will be on there as well. Thank you for that awesome gift. And thank you for taking time out of your busy day. This has been a great conversation.
All right. Well, thank you, Pat. And to all your listeners, hey, go sell something.
Get out there and sell something. Thank you so much for tuning in to Real Estate Rockstars. If this free content is giving you a ton of value, I want to ask a small favor in return. I need you to pull out your pointing finger and hit the subscribe button. Yes, hit subscribe, please. The more subscribers that we get on Real Estate Rockstars, the better guests are attracted to the shows. We'll get more guests from the top companies, from the top teams, and even more celebrity guests like Robert Kiyosaki and Barbara Corcoran. Also, if you're not a member of our free Facebook group, go to Real Estate Rockstars Radio right on Facebook and join the conversation. I'm on there myself on FaceTime Lives, and we have a lot of communications and questions about the show, and I'd love to see you there. And it's free. People ask me all the time, where am I on social media? I'm real easy to find. Just type in my name. My IG is I am Pat Hiban. It is blowing up on Instagram, adding tons of subscribers, and I'm on there probably twice a day. So definitely follow me on Instagram, as well as everywhere else. Thanks again for listening, and keep rocking.